You can use pretty much anything to stir it up with. You'll see that it's really compressed. Has to break it up. The compost is a little bit moist. This material is really dry. But the moisture in the compost pile will transfer to this and make it all the same percentage of moisture. And when I put this in my trays, since it's been sitting somewhere in the shade with a top on it, and I put it in little 6-packs and I compress the soil down. Since it has some moisture in it, it'll stay where you put it. And since it has some moisture in it, it won't float away when you water the trays before you transplant. So right there is, I don't know, 6 or 9 shovelfuls, probably 6 of compost and 6 of ProMix. And we've got a little better than a third of one of these trash barrels. Let me do some more. I can slide that board out, just makes it easier to get this out. You can see I haven't hardly touched this, and with with one more sifted load, I will have a full trash can full of potting mix. And I think that's 32-gallon trash can, and you buy potting mix in quarts in the bags, as I recall. So you can do the math and see how cheap it is. One thing you want to do is wear long cuff gloves, because when you do this, the soil, the compost will get inside your glove. Some's going to get in it even with this, but if you had short gloves, they would fill up with compost and make your job a little harder. And that's what came out of the second sifting. See a lot of hickory nuts, hickory nut shells, husk. If you run across an eggshell, you just keep working it with your glove until it disappears. It'll break up. If you get a bunch of cluster of leaves, just keep going it, and if it goes through this 1/4-inch mesh, it's fine to use on your garden. And it'll break down in the soil. You just don't want to put all this trash in your garden or in your pots, because you know, if you're trying to fill up 6-packs or half-gallon milk cartons, you don't want all this in there. You want soil in there. And so I'm going to do one more batch. I've already dragged one trash can to my greenhouse, and it's half full. And by the time I do this and dump this into the other can, I'll have one full can. Be back with you in a minute. As you can see, I'm digging a hole down in the center of the compost, because the top layer is not as good as what's underneath it. And since I want to grow my giant tomato plants in this, I want the best soil, which is in the center. It's not surprising if you hit a whole vein of leaves. You might have dumped a lot of extra leaves in at one time when it was only 12, 14 inches tall, and you'll find that it didn't all compact. Here's a small vein of leaves. You can see it's layered. At one time they were puffy, and this was probably 12 inches of leaves. And all I have to do is work it with my glove, and it'll disappear and become compost. Slide you around here. You've probably seen all this you need to see to know how to do it. And what you're trying to do is just get the soil in this thing, and if you run up across some leaves, you don't want to do it all in one spot. I will do those leaves right there until they disappear, and then I'll work soil in it. Then I'll move over in the middle, and I'll put some more leaves in there, and then I'll just work that in. And pretty soon it's all gone. It's a two-handed job. I need to get my other glove on. Just like playing in a sandbox. You probably didn't think when you were playing in a sandbox as a child that all you learned would come in handy later on. I used to be a pipe fitter, and I used to tease the guys that were a lot older than me because I was a young buck at the time. And they'd be pulling a wagon around the plant where they had the toolbox on. And I said, and you thought all that junior primary training wasn't going to do you any good. Some of them laughed and some of them took it serious and didn't like what I said. Well, I'm going to be back as soon as I put all this together with the ProMix and put it in the trash can.